Good morning. I'm trying to keep this video very brief. I'm not talking about any math concepts because this week is all about preparing for your exam. And the most important thing in there is to work through this exam prep. And I say that because I wrote this practice exam and I'm really using that as a guide as far as what's fair game and what kind of things you'll see on the exam. So I'm just going to open that up real quick. It's a PDF. I encourage you to print this out and do it on paper. And the reason why is because I will require you to do this on paper on your exam, which by the way, opens this Saturday night / technically Sunday morning at midnight Saturday night. And it will be open all 24 hours of Sunday and all 24 hours of Monday and close at 11:59 p.m. Monday night. So in that time, schedule yourself 2 hours to sit down and take your exam. It will be shorter than this practice exam. I'm going to try to get it down to like 10, 11, maybe 12 questions. Whereas this is 13 questions, but also has multi-part questions in there. So I wanted to start by showing you these questions. If you look at questions 8, 9, 10, and 12, if you look at those questions right there, I think what I'm finding talking to students after classes, they're starting to get where really these questions look the same, as in like, what is the difference between 8 and 9 and 10 and 12? Like, how do I know what strategy I'm going to use? And I get that. I get that, especially as if it's already happening in chapter 7, then once we're asking questions from anywhere in the class, I understand how that could come up. So I'm just going to switch my screen share to something I talked about in class. So in class, I pointed to those same questions, but talked about this phenomenon that people are saying, I just don't know what to do. So maybe you can think about a series of steps, like first one saying, can anything cancel? Does this become simpler if I do tangent of theta times cosine of theta? Actually, there's a reduction of just that all reduces to sine theta. But don't spend too much time on that. Just give it a check over to see if anything can be simplified quickly. And then a big one that I would say the number one thing that people are missing is, can I set everything equal to 0? So remember that if you have two things that are being multiplied equal to 0, 2 or more things, then you can set each of these pieces equal to 0 and kind of separate them into different problems. So that definitely started coming up in chapter 7. And even on other later problems, you may simplify and do some work, apply some trig identities. That still may ultimately be the solution you need to do at the end. And then I put this one third. Does this look like one of the identities? Just to say that kind of could take some time. There's a multi-page sheet of identities that I'm going to send to you all. And, looking at each one and looking at a problem you're working at and comparing them, that could be a little time consuming. So I put that one last, but I also want to remind you that once you apply an identity, you still might have to consider, now that I've applied that identity, does anything cancel? Can I set everything equal to 0? Go back to those questions and ask them again. So hopefully that will help you a little bit for the freeze if you get to the test and time's ticking and you tend to freeze when you're just, you can answer those questions, or remember, you can always jump to a different problem and return to it later. That's really all I have to say about that. I will follow up in this email and send you condensed versions of a lot of the identities and things that have come up in class so far. So this will be an open exam, so open notes exam. So spend some time really getting your notes organized so you don't have to go through 50 pages of paper to find information you're looking for, because it is a time test. Anyway, I hope you're all doing well. Be in touch again soon.